with just puddles everywhere and overcast, but I think it's gonna turn out to be a sunny day after all, right? So how y'all been doing, man? Been a while since I've done a live stream for a walk, and just wanted to really thank you guys for all the truth, all the truth that's been coming out of this world in the last few years. And I think it's pretty clear to everybody that we're living in very strange times indeed, where it is now practically illegal, according to the man, to like go to church or go see a movie with your girlfriend, and I don't know, just the little things that would keep us happy, right? Or keep our spirits in check. And hey, what's up? Never mind. How you doing? Wow, I'm a bit winded already. Don't you guys love naked smoothies? Let's see if I can get let's see if I can get a shameless plug in for naked smoothies. If you never had them, they're excellent. They're not paying me. That's a free plug for naked smoothies. So, really just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys and thank y'all for all your many years of, trolling, and also love and redemption and revelation. Naked beats Adwala. You darn right. The other day I was watching reading through NASA news, and I was going to do a video on it, but I've been having problems with computer and internet issues. But the article from NASA, I'll paraphrase it, but they said NASA discovered the new bizarre shape of the universe or the galaxy? Maybe the galaxy, solar system. Anyway, they said they got the shape of the solar system or whatever. They said it was like an overbaked croissant or an ear, right? It's just so ridiculous. They said they were firing little particles of light towards the outer reaches of the solar system to get sort of an image of the boundaries of the solar system or whatever. Yeah, and it's shaped like an ear. Shaped like an ear, or shaped like a overbaked croissant. Wow. I could probably go in there and read the article to you guys, but it's just so ridiculous. You know what I mean? NASA's just so full of it. They got to keep on putting just absolutely ridiculous things in the news. To keep NASA relevant. Isn't that so typical? It really is never a dull moment with NASA, ain't it? So, how you guys been doing though, man? Really?
Yeah.
Why? Anyway, so we got, I'm winded, wow. Yeah, we got to read this article if we possibly can. Hey, what's up, Outer Ponds Philosophy? Never mind, not required to wear a mask. Yeah, there's a city edict that says we have to wear masks.
They won't say who they're looking for.
They say that's a law.
You don't do.
They say it's a law.
Who is that?
I'm live streaming.
Who is?
It's YouTube. You want to say hey?
Hey.
Mina says hey,
Hey,
to YouTube.
it's raining.
Yeah, there definitely is an edict, but those are sorts of laws, they're not natural laws, they're laws of men. And so if they tell you that you've got to wear a mask to keep from getting sick, really, so like let's say coronavirus is real, and it is. Coronavirus is real, right? If you look in any of the old medical journals, right, from the 80s or whatever, before then, look up the definition of coronavirus, and it's right there. It says it's the common cold. And so basically,
God is shaking this world.
Yeah.
To its knees.
Wait. So basically, they've given incentive to the hospital system.
It's not.
They've given incentive to the hospital system to get free money Oh, Kavanaugh and Blasey Ford. Yeah, I'll talk about that maybe. That's a good one. But what they did was they incentivized the never greedy hospital systems into getting free money for diagnosing COVID, right? So if they diagnose you with COVID and they put you on a respirator as a treatment, the hospital gets $14,000. So, hospitals would never lie. They'd never fudge the numbers for free money, would they?
Almost killed me a few times.
And then you've also got the fact where if a person dies of COVID in their hospital, they get a check for over $40,000, right? So think about it this way. The hospitals, all they have to do is diagnose as many cases as possible, and they get lots and lots of money, tons, right? And so there's a lot of cases where you've got, just an example, this isn't an actual case, but I'm sure there's one like it. You've got a elderly person in a nursing home on kidney dialysis.
Boy, they're down like flies
and liver failure, right? And then that person passes away. They've never been tested for COVID, never showed symptoms of COVID, but the hospital can say that they suspect that they died because of COVID, or at least it was a contributing factor, and they get paid for the COVID $44,000 bonus, whatever that means, right? So like really though, because what is money? Where does money come from? Well, if you've been reading or following along with The Creature from Jekyll Island, it's a big scam, right? But money is supposed to derive its value from the goods and services of an economy. So like if you plant seeds of corn in a field, you water it, you nourish it, and eventually it grows up into corn, you harvest it, you sell it, you're trading a good of value to somebody. Some people like corn, it's basically in all of our food, but that corn is of value. And so the money that comes to you for the corn is an exchange of value for value, right? Well, not really. The US dollar is debt. So you're trading the corn of value for negative money, but that's besides the point. When you've got something like this going with COVID, basically you're trading the money, which is supposed to be of value, but you're trading negative value for negative
So they
value.
keep us in the house,
Hey,
so we don't know what's going on,
okay.
except what they tell us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But so I lost my train of thought. The thing is, okay, bye, baby. So if you have hospitals incentivized to just sort of fudge the numbers of COVID, it makes it pretty easy for the numbers to be inflated wildly. Now, am I saying that there isn't some deadly strain of the common cold that's out there running rampant in the streets? Maybe there is. I mean, I can't prove that there isn't. The evidence that I've seen in my personal experience and many others is that the common cold is still just the common cold.
My friend is an RN.
Well,
She said she ain't had one case.
right. Yeah, there's hospitals everywhere. If you go and talk to nurses at a dozen random hospitals and ask them, how many COVID cases have you seen that were deadly?
0.
Well, they're sort of under a gag order not to talk about it,
But she's my best friend,
but they'll insinuate that, it's really nothing.
and I'll never tell it.
But when you have the hospitals incentivized to basically lie for free money, well, of course they're going to do that. I mean, that's their game. They're capitalists, right? The medical industry is not about healing people. Because wait, Sleeping Warrior says, "Hey John, did you hear gravity isn't a force anymore, and the ballers are finally now we're live again to lie for free money." Of course they're going to do it, right? Because what is the capitalist mantra? Well, you put in as little as possible, into your endeavor, and you try to manipulate things to get the maximum possible return. Okay? Now, we all know that the hospitals, systems, the doctors' offices, the doctors themselves, these guys are hurting for cash. They're at the bottom rung of the I don't know, the monetary system, right? They're in the lower class. Well, not really. The hospitals do pretty well. The administrators, the doctors, they do pretty well for themselves. Um, y'all missed a response to the last comment. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm getting bad signal in here. Hopefully, we'll stay live for a little while, but let's see. It is pretty bad weather. But so, where was I? So let me give you just a little bit of a personal anecdote. Several years ago, if you guys remember the ARRA, it was under the Obama administration. It was the American Recovery Reinvestment Act, where they just dumped untold sums of monopoly money into the system in order to basically mandate that private doctors' offices must use electronic health records as opposed to paper charts, right? Because I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, but there was a time when you went to your doctor, and before you could be seen, they had to physically pull a file out of a cabinet and look up your information, and then maybe put some notes, put some additions to your chart, and put that folder back into the same cabinet. And this really did help with the privacy and security of our medical data, right? I mean, unless someone's going to break into the doctor's office and steal everybody's medical records, it was pretty well safe. And, I'm sure there's probably a few crooked doctors out there, but for the most part, doctors are not going to give out your information. I mean, they could lose their license, right? And so, what happened during the ARRA is the federal government was incentivizing these incentivizing these private practices to switch over to what's called electronic health records. And what that means is that they would basically do away with all the paper charts, all the billing. Everything would be sort of, you know, put into one bucket of digital information, right?
So they
And
don't
of
have to ask the doctor.
and,
They just
and
look in the records.
of course, digital information can never be hacked into or spied upon by you know some people with nefarious plans for our medical information. But doctor-patient confidentiality was a very serious part of the of being a doctor. You have to keep your patient's information private. So basically, what they did was they incentivized doctors to switch over to electronic health records early by paying each provider. Like, let's say you have a practice with 10 doctors. They would give each provider $44,000 if they went through Medicare, or $52,000 if they enrolled through Medicaid. Depends on which one they billed more. But so at any rate, they were incentivizing doctors to switch over to electronic health records and do away with paper charts. And there's benefits to that. Less paperwork. It's good for the trees. It takes less time to copy and paste something than it does to write something down. And all of this stuff would go into a database, right? And that database would be stored in the cloud. And so in the cloud, all of this data can be conglomerated into a single parsed spreadsheet of information that could be conglomerated across the entire nation. So there are some benefits to that as well. So, like, let's say you have an outbreak of some deadly disease, it'd be a lot easier to sort of track that on a scale of 1 million people charts all in one bucket, as opposed to trend and whatever the virus or whatever it has to be. So there are benefits to having this information in the cloud. So there is an upside to it, but there's also a downside because the privacy of our health information is sacred, right? That's something that's between you, your doctor, and God. However, when you compile all that data into a federal database, then it gives it the opportunity to, or it gives them the opportunity to basically do something nefarious with that information, whatever. So, at any rate, they were paying these doctors $44,000 to implement EHR early, and basically threatening them that if you don't implement EHR at a certain point, then your practice will no longer be able to bill Medicare or Medicaid, because that's what's going to be required to bill them. Okay, and so ultimately, what they did was they nationalized our private health information. Okay, so when it comes to apply this to the COVID thing, there are some similarities. This incentive for hospitals or doctors' offices to lie or to do something that they wouldn't normally do, which is to just, willy-nilly start diagnosing things because they're going to get money. There's some similarities. And of course, we all know that the medical system in general is one of the most lucrative um, businesses that you can get into. Okay. But also, a long time ago, the medical industry became not about people's health, right? Not about the patient, but about the bottom line. I mean, it's a business, right? We live in a capitalist system where the only metric for success of a company is how much money does it make, right? So you would think that the metric for success for a doctor's office would be how many patients have they cured? How do they treat their patients? Are their costs, within reason? Those sorts of things. You would think, but no, that's not what it is at all. Not at all about. What it really is about is how much money can they make off the suckers that walk in the door. So, like, this whole hundreds of thousands of people dying of COVID is the term grossly inflated doesn't even cover it. I would say fabricated whole cloth is maybe not leaving enough room for the scientific reason of doubt, but practically whole cloth fabricated. Okay. And so when you ask me, do I wear my COVID mask? I mean, no, I don't. Um, because first of all, I would say we live in a free country, but that's ridiculous. Every country is under the authority of the Most High God, of course, and so we live in a free world. But so if somebody tells you that you have to put a mask on your face or you're breaking the law, that is the perfect example of how there's a big difference between natural law and man-made law, right? So, like a natural law would be if you stand too close to the edge of a cliff on a windy day and you're not watching what you're doing, natural law says that you're going to fall off the cliff, right? Now, a man-made law, would be similar to saying, putting a yellow line near the edge of the cliff and saying, if you go past this yellow line, you're breaking the law, right? Now, you might not fall off the cliff, but you're breaking man's law. Okay, so there is nothing inherently wrong about going past that yellow line. Nothing may happen if you go past that yellow line, but if you do, you're going to be fine and you're going to jail, right? So there's a sort of a bad analogy of the difference between man-made law and natural law. But so in terms of the COVID thing, the man-made law would say, you must wear a mask or you're in dire consequences of getting yourself sick and getting everybody else sick, right? Which is, even if it was true, you can't force someone. The only law is, Christ said it best, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So when someone tells you what you can wear,
Please.
yeah, hang on, sorry, fellas. Hi. Okay, well, I'm live streaming, baby. Okay. Sorry, guys. Hotel, motel living, right? Um, so really, if here's the thing, you're breaking natural law if you try to tell somebody else what they must do. Okay, you're interfering with their free will, right? So you're interfering with my free will because I'm breaking the laws of man. It's a complete oxymoron. It makes absolutely no sense. Hey, Joey Roca. Joey Roca, been a long time, buddy. Thank you, man. My witty, morning all. Yeah. So, like, let's put it this way. Let's use the good old example of marijuana, right? God's natural medicine. Uh, some people got together, and it actually had to do it. A lot of it had to do with DuPont. The DuPont Corporation, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was another one of those guys, but they came out with this product called nylon, synthetic fiber, that they would basically have a patent on so they could make tons of money if everybody was buying nylon. Now, hemp and marijuana is useful for practically every purpose you can think of. I mean, everything from fuel to wax to, I don't know, clothing to just you name it. If you can think of it, you can probably make it out of hemp. And so I believe it's DuPont saw this as a huge threat to their bottom line, and they had to do something to make the demand for their synthetic fabric, which is far inferior to hemp fabric, but to increase their demand. And so what they did was they got together and ultimately said that it is illegal to grow or possess hemp. Okay, so that's a law of man. Now, something that grows from the ground freely and abundantly and smells great and is beautiful, um, how can that be illegal? How can a plant that is natural be illegal? Okay, it couldn't. It's not possible for it to be illegal. That's absurd. What is illegal by natural law is to tell somebody else that something natural is illegal, right? So, really, the law is the thing breaking natural law. Man-made law breaks natural law by default, doesn't it? And so, same thing goes for the COVID mask. If a group of people who we've never met tell us what we must wear, then they are impeding in our daily affairs. They are affecting our free will. And so, therefore, they are the criminals, right? However, this world of deception and backwards assness that we live in, it is now illegal to express your freedom of will, right? So we do live in strange times indeed. But we flat earthers, we've known that for a while. It's illegal to, or it's unacceptable to tell the truth. It's unacceptable to notice the obvious truth and tell it to people. What is acceptable is to go along with a lie. Okay. And so I'll tell you what, the banditos these days, I'm sure they're loving the whole COVID thing because, bank robbers wear masks. And so, during normal times, if you're going to go rob a bank and you're sitting outside in your car with your mask on your face, you'd look suspicious. Well, now you'll just look like everybody else. And everybody knows people are sheeple. People do what is told to them on the television. So really, the idea of free will is a bit of a myth, isn't it? I know there's a lot of us out there that do indeed have free will, but if you are only reacting to stimulus that are coming from people you've never heard of without even thinking about it, well, that's the definition of mind control, and you have thus lost free will. Okay, so the idea that having free will this day and age is ridiculous. I mean, and even me, I consider myself sort of a woke, open-minded person, but we've all been, under the reign of this deception for so long. There's probably so many things that we do without even thinking about it that are not of our own volition. We don't even know it. That's how subliminal. Will is the mask, but a lot of people wear that same mask every day for a week. And they'll put their hands all over it. They'll set it down, put it back on. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I know people that'll do that. And so what you're doing is, hypothetically, you're spreading the disease even more than you would if you had just sneezed, right? And, let's say you don't have it and you're wearing a mask. The store that I just went to, and I don't know if it's like this for you guys, but they have these big, like visqueens, these big plastic sheets hanging between the customer and the clerk. And this is supposed to keep the